Hi class. My group was in charge of doing chapter 6, which talks about the migration and intercultural adaptation. And today I will be covering one of the 3 theories of migration. There are macro, micro, and meso-level theories. And I'm sure my group mates have gone over macro and micro, and I will be talking about the meso-level theories, but just for the sake of explaining, I will briefly discuss the other 2. So macro level theories emphasize the structural issues and conditions when it comes to migration on a global sense, and micro level theories talk about the individual attributes and challenges that a migrant may go through when they are going through the adaptation process. And meso level theories kind of is the bridge that brings those 2 theories together between the macro and micro. It talks about the intermediate level migrant networks and socio-cultural group ties. So with macro being on a global sense and micro being on an individual, meso-level is kind of the middle ground and talks about groups. There are 3 main components of the meso-level theories, and with one being migrant networks, social capital, and then trans migrants. First, we'll be discussing migrant networks, and it is defined as sets of interpersonal ties that connect migrants, former migrants, and non-migrants in origin and destination areas through ties of kinship, friendship, and shared community origin. So this is kind of just when migrants find other migrants and kind of just making those friendships through knowing that they have gone through the same thing and things of that nature. And it talks about how these networks, they kind of give meaning to the adaptation process because they provide information and support to other migrants when it comes to, what might benefit them, how they went through a certain challenge and how they have overcome it, and just giving advice and things like that. So that is like a attribute of these, or characteristic of these migrant networks. So that leads me to my first discussion question. It says, migrant networks provide information and support for travel, housing, employment, education, and healthcare. What are some examples of information and support in any of those categories? So how might you see information and support when one migrant gives information and support to another migrant about, say, travel or housing? What would be an example of those types of things? And the next characteristic that I will be talking about is social capital. These and migrant networks obviously build a kind of friendship and a sense of wanting to take care of other migrants, and that's what social capital is. So social capital in the textbook is the sense of commitment and obligation people within a group or network share to look after the well-being and interest of another. So just knowing that these migrants have obviously gone through certain challenges when they may have moved from one place to another, they build that bond with those people and get that sense of wanting to stay as a group, which are the meso-level theories. You want to stay as a group and you want to take care of each other, and that is referred to as social capital. And the next main characteristic of these meso-level theories is trans migrants. And I have a personal connection to this because I've seen it in my personal life, but it's a new category of migrants. It's a certain category, and it defines it as migrants who moved across national boundaries to new locations for work and family reunification, and yet also maintain cultural, social, economic, and political ties with their country, region, or city of origin. I've seen this all growing up and in my individual life with me being from California. I grew up in a more predominantly Hispanic area, and I've seen all my friends have ties back to Mexico, and how they would always maintain those relationships that they've had in Mexico, and just always kind of keeping their culture alive, keeping their friendships and their bonds strong and things like that. And even in my personal life with my grandma, she's from the Philippines, and she moved her kids from the Philippines to America to, live a better life and things like that. But you know, some children were older and they wanted to stay there, and obviously like her brothers and sisters are still there too, and she still keeps a tight bond with those that are back home for her. And it talks about how these trans migrants maintain those bonds and relationship is through frequent communication and travel. And obviously my grandma can't travel, but say my friends from back home, they travel to Mexico all the time to maintain those friendships, and my grandma uses frequent communication to maintain those friendships. And she also like does things like send them money and send them the things that they need, because like we're more fortunate here than, you know, they are back home. And that leads me to my second discussion question, which is, what are some ways a trans migrant can maintain bonds and relationships? Give examples. So obviously I talked about frequent communication and travel, but how else might a trans migrant maintain those friendships? Or you can also talk about how through frequent communication. Give me an example of a frequent communication and give me an example of travel, something like that. But yeah, that is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the discussion if you answer my questions. So thank you.